This is topic number 14, ecosystem and energy flow. What are the contents? Contents are ecosystem, energy flow, ecological pyramids, nutrient cycle, ecological succession and ecosystem services. We are going to start with the first one, that is ecosystem. Ecosystem is a self-regulatory and self-sustaining structural and functional unit of biosphere. Self-regulatory means the system is governed by its own, it is regulated by its own, and self-sustaining is the system which can sustain itself without external support. So, self-regulatory and self-sustaining structural and functional unit. That means structurally it includes biotic and abiotic factors, and the function of the system goes on in the ecosystem, in the biosphere. So, what are the components of ecosystem? Components of ecosystem are both abiotic and biotic factors which interact with each other. What do you mean by abiotic factor? Abiotic factors are the non-living things and biotic factors includes living things. So in the ecosystem, continuous interaction between abiotic and biotic factors are there. For example, we can say that living being depends upon the abiotic factors like air, water, soil as well as sunlight. Okay, so this biotic factors depends on abiotic factors and abiotic factors depends on biotic factors. That means we can say that they interact with each other. These ecosystems have two basic categories, terrestrial and aquatic. This terrestrial ecosystem includes forest, grassland and desert ecosystem. And aquatic ecosystem includes lakes, river, wetlands and estuaries. What's the meaning of estuary? It is the area where the water of river meets the water of sea. This ecosystem can also be classified into natural and artificial type. Natural ecosystem means which is formed in the nature itself, and sometimes due to we can say interference of the human beings, artificial type of ecosystem can also be developed. Then we are going to see ecosystem and function. Ecosystem means the system of biotic and abiotic factors. Then how the function takes place. So remember that interaction of biotic and abiotic components results in physical structure, which is a characteristic feature for each ecosystem. What do you mean by physical structure? Generally, physical structure includes abiotic factors like wind, soil, water, as well as nutrient in particular habitat, as well as climatic conditions. So, interaction of biotic and abiotic components. When they interact with each other, a physical structure results. And this is the characteristic of each ecosystem. So biotic and abiotic component differ as the location vary in space and time. Location means geographical situation, which may be a part of space or the point where object, organisms, field may be found. So there is a difference in biotic and abiotic component as the location, as the places get changed. We can say that in the aquatic environment, we'll get the large amount of water, different type of aquatic animals will be there as compared to the, we can say in the aerial environment. In the aerial environment, we can see the aerial type of animals which can live in air, and accordingly the environmental factors will also be different. The variation due to space results in spatial patterns. So variation due to space means as the location vary, the different kinds of patterns are get formed, and these patterns are divided into two types. One is called as stratification and second one is called as zonation. What is the difference between this stratification and zonation? We'll see stratification first. It is vertical distribution of different species of plants and animals occupying different levels. It is called as stratification. We'll see the diagram that it will be more clear for you. So in the diagram you can see different layers are there. The upper layer is called as emergent layer. Second is called as canopy. Third is understory, and last one is the undergrowth. So different layers are shown. Here the smaller plants are seen in undergrowth region. Larger are seen in understory, and in the canopy plant, in the canopy layer, a canopy is get formed because of the plants. And in the emergent layer, the longer trees which are there, they form emergent layer. That means layers can be seen. So these layers means the strata, and here the vertical distribution is there, which is called as stratification. So vertical distribution of different species of plants and animals occupying different level becomes stratification. Example, tree occupy top vertical strata or the layer of forest. Shrubs the second, and herbs and grass occupy the bottom level. You can see in the diagram. These are the plants occupying the uppermost layer, shrubs in the second layer, and the herbs in the third or the lowermost layer are seen. Second example, open sea. In open sea, epipelagic, mesopelagic, banthipelagic and benthic zones are there. What are the meanings of these different terms? Epipelagic means the layer of ocean where sunlight is present. That means sunlight can reach up to that. What is the meaning of mesopelagic? It is the intermediate depth of the sea where twilight is seen, or we can say it is the twilight zone. Banthipelagic. What's the meaning of banthipelagic? It is deep sea area, deep sea environment which is very dark and cold. That means light cannot be reached over there. And what's the meaning of benthic form? It is the lowest layer of water body where only the sediment and the surface can be, lower surface can be seen. Okay, so this is all about stratification. What's the meaning of zonation? Zonation is horizontal distribution of plants and animals on land or in water. It is more commonly observed at the junction of aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem. That means near the water body which is in continuation with the land. Edges of large lake and beach shows pronounced zonation in the form of intertidal, interlittoral and sublittoral zone. We'll see the diagram first, that will make your ideas more clear. This diagram shows zonation having subtidal channels, mud flats, low marsh and high marsh. What are all this? See, in subtidal channels, what does it mean? Here this is the area which is the important habitat for fish at low tide. They allow good drainage and flooding in mud flats. This intertidal zone is the zone or the area of seashore which is covered at high tide and not covered at low tide. So in the diagram, high tide and low tide area is seen, and this area is the important habitat for fish at low tide. This subtidal channels is in continuation with mud flats. These mud flats are the areas of flat or the areas of ocean which is covered by the sea during high tide, as well as it is covered by the mud during high tide. And in this area you can see the animals like crabs, some snails are seen, which can be living in that area. If you see the area of low marsh, in the area of low marsh, it is the good habitat for cod grass insects, herons, ergats and the clapper rails. So in the diagram, the animals which are seen in the low marsh area, it is for the clapper rail. But other animals which can inhabit over there are the insects, herons and egrets. Cordgrass is the plant species seen over there, and this cordgrass is a species of grass itself, having smooth blade-like leaves and can grow up to 12 to 15 inches in height. And the next area is called as high marsh. This high marsh, it supports pickleweed and patches of cordgrass. Your pickleweeds, actually it looks like we can say the plants which grows in deserts. And cordgrass, already explained that it's a species of grass having broad blade-like leaves. It is a good habitat for savanna, sparrow and clapper rails here also. Okay, so you can see the evolution. That means from fishes some animals can grow which can live on land as well as in water. Later on some terrestrial animals grow, and these terrestrial animals are, as the changes takes place, can be converted into aerial one. So horizontal distribution of plants and animals takes place, and that will becomes the zonation. The next part of the topic, functional aspect of ecosystem, we will see in the next lecture.